Hi children, good morning to all. How are you all? Hope all are doing fine and good and praying to be good children. So happy to come back with the new session. So welcome back to new session for everyone. So in the previous session we discussed about nutrition, one of the life process. So we are in the zone of life process. In the life process we discussed autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition we discussed, and today we'll see the new another one life process, that is respiration. You know children, can we live without air? No, we can live without food at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We can live without water at least half day without drinking water. But we cannot stay without breathing the air at least 1 minute. The more essential component which we need and more essential life process which is to be needed for all the living beings and all the living organisms. So the respiration today in our concept, let us see about what is meant by respiration, what are the different types of respiration, how the respiratory system plays a major role in the process of respiration. These all the concepts we are going to learn in this chapter. Okay, so in the process of respiration, ATP as currency of energy, that means more energy is produced. So ATP is nothing but it is an energy currency. Adenosine triphosphate, it is a molecule. The energy is stored in the form of ATP. Ultrastructure of mitochondria and its functions, and mechanism of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Significance of respiration, that what is the importance of respiration. And energy is stored as organic food in plants. Energy is released when organic food is oxidized during respiration, and potential energy in food is converted into kinetic energy. Energy releasing and energy supplying process. The energy released in two types, that heat energy and chemical energy. These are all the concepts we used to cover. First, let us see what is the definition of respiration. It is an intercellular oxidation process in which complex organic substances are broken down into simple substances with stepwise release of energy. So, nothing but oxidation means, what is meant by oxidation? Any components are mixed with the oxygen, that process we call it as a oxidation. So in this oxidation process, the complex organic substances will be broken down. The food which we eat, it will be break down and it converts into simple substances. And when the food what we eat, it is in a complex state, that we know that breaking down of complex food substances into simple form is a digestion. So when it is the digested food becomes oxidized, and there will be a releasing of stepwise energy. So releasing of stepwise energy is called as a respiration. So what are the raw materials in a respiration is needed? The raw materials in respiration are used glucose, oxygen. So ultimate production of respiration is 38 ATP molecules, or that is equal to 686 kilocalories of energy. Or if we want to tell in a joules, 2870 kilojoules. And what are the byproducts released? Carbon dioxide is a byproduct which is released. If we coming over to see the reaction of respiration, C6H12O6, that is a glucose plus carbon dioxide, in the presence of enzymes, it split into 6H2O plus 6CO2 plus 686 kilocalories, or 38 ATP molecules are released in the process of respiration. So, what are the types of respiration? Types of respiration is two, Nana. One is aerobic respiration. What is meant by aerobic respiration? The oxidation of a glucose with the help of atmospheric oxygen is called as aerobic respiration. So, if the oxidation of food is taken place in the presence of oxygen, such a respiration is called as aerobic respiration. You can see the formula: glucose C6H12O6 is a glucose molecules, combines with 6 molecules of oxygen, and it gives rise 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 water molecules, 6H2O plus 38 ATP molecules will be released in a aerobic respiration. Whereas in anaerobic respiration, the partial oxidation of organic food in the absence of atmospheric oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. Partial oxidation means very less content of oxygen, may not be present of oxygen. So the glucose gives rise 2 carbon, 2C2 plus 2C2H5OH plus 6CO2 plus 2 ATP molecules. So, when you compare from the aerobic respiration to anaerobic respiration, the amount of energy will be reduced. The content of energy is reducing, or the releasing amount of energy is reduced. So, in anaerobic respiration, 38 ATP molecules are released. In anaerobic respiration, only 2 ATP molecules are released. In case of aerobic respiration, only 38. See, lot of variation, more than. See, lot of amount of energy will be released in the aerobic respiration. So, once let us see what are the differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, which requires molecular oxygen, and in case of anaerobic respiration, does not molecular oxygen is needed, no requirement. Respiratory substrates is fully oxidized in a aerobic respiration. All the respiratory substrates will be completely oxidized, means combines with the oxygen, and respiratory substrate is incompletely or partially oxidized. Maximum may not be oxidized, or very partially it will be oxidized. And coming to the end products, carbon dioxide and H2O in a aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide and water molecules, so it will be end product. And anaerobic respiration end products, ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. Even ethyl alcohol, lactic acid also will be a end product. And coming to the aerobic respiration, exchange of gases between environment and organism. In the environmental oxygen and an organism, there is a gaseous exchange takes place in the aerobic respiration. In case of anaerobic respiration, exchange of gases is not involved at all. There is no exchange of gases taking in now or not there. Okay, and metabolic water is formed. In aerobic respiration, we can find a metabolic water is formed, and anaerobic respiration, metabolic water is not formed. So most probably aerobic respiration occurs partly in cytoplasm and partly in mitochondria. You can see in both. The aerobic respiration occurs in a cytoplasm as well as the mitochondria. But anaerobic respiration occurs only in a cytoplasm. 38 ATP molecules formed from a one glucose molecule able to release nearly 38 ATP molecules in the aerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, 2 ATP molecules form from the glucose molecule. So aerobic respiration involves electron transport chain, and anaerobic respiration doesn't involve in a electronic transport chain, ECT. So aerobic respiration process runs continuously through life in plants as well as the animals. In case the anaerobic respiration occurs continuously in some microorganisms, in others it takes place temporary for a short period during the oxygen deficiency. So during the oxygen deficiency and a short temporarily it will be takes place. So first let us have the discussion of anaerobic respiration. So what is meant by anaerobic respiration? Already we discussed that the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. Generally, in the process of respiration, we take inside oxygen and we leave out of the carbon dioxide. So that we call it as a respiration. So if the respiration process takes place in the presence of an oxygen, it is called as aerobic respiration. And if the oxygen is absent in the presence of respiration, in the process of respiration, such a respiration we call it as a anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is nothing but it is a respiration without oxygen. No oxygen involvement will be there. So let us see what is meant by anaerobic respiration. With no oxygen or oxidative phosphorylation and Krebs cycle cannot take place. Cells without mitochondria cannot respire aerobically. So example, red blood cells. In an anaerobic respiration, glycolysis takes place as usually, yield of pyruvate and small amount of ATP. So in anaerobic respiration, the glycolysis process will be takes place, breaking down of glucose molecule. As usually, there will be production of pyruvic acid, pyruvate, and a small amount of 2 molecules of ATP will be produced. So if pyruvate levels were allowed to build up, it stop glycolysis and inhibit the ATP production. The inhibit means reduces the ATP production. Also, the reduced NAD produced must be oxidized back to release the cell would not out of it. So again stopping ATP production. So generally the ATP production will be stopped at that place. So in anaerobic respiration, 2 solutions to this problem. Alcohol fermentation used by fungi and plants. Alcohol fermentation is done by plants and fungus. And lactic fermentation. What is a fermentation? Breaking down of glucose in the absence of carbon dioxide, or conversion of glucose into alcohol is called as anaerobic respiration or a fermentation. So in anaerobic respiration, in case of fungus and plants, we can see the formation of alcohol during the process of anaerobic respiration. In case of animals, if the anaerobic respiration takes place in the animals, it results to the formation of lactic acid. So that is a lactic fermentation. So alcoholic fermentation, the yeast convert pyruvate to ethanol. The yeast will be convert the pyruvate into ethanol. So you can see here anaerobic respiration producing ethanol from the pyruvate regenerates oxidized NAD and allows the glycolysis to continue. So the glucose molecule triose phosphate oxides NAD and reduce the NAD and it converts into a pyruvate. So the reduced NAD reduce the oxidized NAD into 2-NAD and the pyruvate gives rise the ethanol. So in the presence of alcohol dehydrogenase, there will be production of ethanol. So it is a cyclic process of anaerobic respiration. So first carbon dioxide is removed from the pyruvate to produce the ethanol. Alcohol dehydrogenase converts the ethanol to ethanol by adding the hydrogen takes from the reduced NAD. Process used by humans for many thousands of years to produce rice and bread and alcohol for drinking. That is also a process of fermentation. During the night times, we used to, if you want to prepare idli or a dosa, the previous day night we used to make a dough, prepare dough, black gram and rice together. We used to soak them, then grind at the night and we'll keep for tomorrow morning. For tomorrow prepare the dosa. So if you see in the morning, we can find that there is the increasing of the quantity, or we can find the bowl, the food increases, the surface area is increases due to the process of fermentation. So fermentation or anaerobic respiration is also very most important in the preparing of food substances. So here you have given where the anaerobic respiration is taking place. You can see here preparation of alcohol, preparing of breads, jams, even cakes, biscuits. These are all the food substances, alcohol, beer, in industries. This making use of anaerobic respiration, we can make this. So better example, see children, let me say one thing. So you take a little amount of grapes and just press them, keep them in the glass, add a little pinch of sugar in it, okay? Add sugar and keep it tightly with the lid, cover it with the lid, and you keep it aside. If you keep it aside throughout the night, by tomorrow morning you can find a smell. It gives rise the smell, that is a alcoholic smell. So the fermentation process is useful to prepare the industries, beer industries, alcohol industries, buns, bread, biscuits. For all this, they used to prefer to maintain the process of fermentation. By the fermentation only, all these type of foods are made of. So anaerobic respiration without an oxygen in animals including the humans. We can see this anaerobic respiration in animals, plants, as well as even in the human beings also we can see. So glucose, already we saw this. Now let us see the respiration, breathing and exchange of gases in human beings. This is a aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is nothing but the respiration which takes place in the absence of the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. Best example is fermentation. In fermentation, the conversion of glucose into alcohol is called as fermentation. Idli, dosa, beer, alcohol, medicines, tablets, tonics, all these are prepared by making use of fermentation process. So in anaerobic respiration, what happened? The process of respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen, that means in the presence of carbon dioxide. So we can see in the bacteria and yeast. In bacteria and yeast, the end product of anaerobic respiration is ethyl alcohol. And anaerobic respiration in human beings, when there is no sufficient amount of energy, availability of oxygen is there, when the person is having a vigorous exercise to the body or a running or again getting onto the steps, they need excessive amount of energy. They used to use more amount of. So in case of that time, instead of oxygen, they used to intake the carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide accumulates in the muscles. And what happened? This carbon dioxide reacts with the muscles, and this carbon dioxide will be converted in the form of lactic acid. So this lactic acid results in the muscle cramps. Muscle cramps means the muscles are dragged back while we are sleeping. In winter season we can find more. Due to heavy cold, what we used to do, we keep our body together, all the parts, and we'll sleep. So in the morning we couldn't able to bring out the legs, no, they will tight out. So the muscles will be tight, that are called muscle cramps. Due to the lackness of oxygen, so no proper blood circulation, the muscles will be crumbled. So that is nothing but due to the anaerobic respiration and due to the formation of lactic acid. So the anaerobic respiration causes organisms to formation of muscle cramps. So we have to give a hot water bath, hot water massage. If you make it, the muscles will becomes into a normal. Even neck, sometimes the neck becomes very tight and we cannot around it, we cannot move it, no. That is also one of the example of a muscle cramp. Now let us see about the respiration. Respiration is the oxidation of nutrients in the living cells to release energy for biological work. And respiration is nothing but oxidation of the food that which we eat. So in all the living cells, when this oxidation process is taking place, ultimately there is a releasing of energy. Breathing is the exchange of oxygen from the atmosphere with the carbon dioxide produced by the cells. What is a breathing? Exchange of gases. We take inside of oxygen, we inside oxygen and we leave out of the carbon dioxide. So is the exchange of oxygen from the atmosphere with carbon dioxide produced by the cells. How the carbon dioxide is produced? The food breakdown, no? The complete, how in photosynthesis we discussed. The food is formed from the carbon dioxide. In the process of photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide will be converted into carbohydrates, the carbon dioxide. So that carbohydrates when we eat, when these carbohydrates are break down, again the carbon dioxide is released. So the body, the blood is filled with the carbon dioxide, that we call it as a deoxygenated blood. So these blood, from the blood the carbon dioxide comes out and the oxygen will be enters. That is nothing but we call it as a oxygenation process. When the blood regains oxygenation process, we can find that the releasing of energy. So now let us see the excretory organs in different animals. Okay, respiratory organs. Not excretory, respiratory organs. General body surface. If you see in the frogs, in the snakes, even some animals are given, no? Flatworms, coelentrates, sponges, we can find a general body surface. From the body surface only they will have the process of respiration, that we call it as a cutaneous respiration. Lower invertebrates, sponges, coelentrates and flatworms. These all they show the process of respiration by the skin. So the respiratory organs in these animals is skin. And next one is skin or the moist cuticle, that we call it as a cutaneous respiration. Earthworms, leeches, amphibians, these all they show the respiration through the skin. If the respiration takes place through the skin, we call it as the cutaneous respiration. Next one is respiration, tracheal respiration. What is meant by tracheal? In insects, centipedes, millipedes and spiders. Insects, centipedes, millipedes and spiders, all they will have a tracheal. They have the trachea, tube like a structure. By the trachea they will have the respiration. So that we call it as a tracheal respiration. Next one is gills. Respiration through the gills we call it as the branchial respiration. Respiration through the gills we call it as the branchial respiration. See example, fishes, tadpoles, prawns. So examples we can see fishes, tadpoles and the prawns, they will have the respiration through the gills. Next, lungs, pulmonary respiration. So if the respiration takes place by the lungs, such a respiration we call it as a pulmonary respiration. Example, most of the vertebrates they'll show the process of respiration by the lungs. So now let us see human respiratory system. So human respiratory system is having we can divide it into 8 track: air passage and paid lungs. Respiration, how the passage, air track is nothing but windpipe, how it pass. And you can see the word air tract, that is nothing but it's a trachea. And paid lungs, how the respiration process or oxygenation process or exchange of gases will take place in the lungs. These two main concepts will discussed. In this session we will discuss how the air passes through the aerial tract, we will discuss. So let us see. It is a transport atmospheric air into the alveoli. The first air tract is nothing but air pipe or a windpipe. It is a conducting part. It collects the air and it transports atmospheric air into the alveoli. Alveoli is the functional unit of a respiratory system. So it clears air from the foreign particles. So we have a mucus layer inside and hair follicles are there. They will separate the dust particles or foreign particles from the air, and in it humidifies and brings the air to the body temperature. So the air tract also facilitates the humidize the air and it helps to maintain the body temperature, which helps to maintain the body temperature. So if you see the path of respiratory system, external nostril, it starts with the nostrils. The two holes in the nose, we call it as a nostrils. Starts with the external nostrils and opens into nasal passage, the empty space, and the nasal chambers that are called as nasal cavities, and the nasopharynx. The pharynx is of two types, oropharynx and nasopharynx. The air tract is connected to the nasopharynx, and foot tract will connect into oropharynx. Okay, nasopharynx opens into glottis, the glottis opens into larynx, the larynx opens into trachea, the trachea opens into primary bronchi. The primary bronchi connects to secondary bronchi. Next, tertiary bronchi. So, bronchi, bronchus, bronchioles. We can divide them as a primary bronchi. Next, secondary bronchi is a bronchus, and the next one is tracheum. Tertiary bronchi means bronchioles. So, they will be open into bronchioles and terminal bronchioles, and the respiratory bronchioles, and later they opens into alveoli. So, alveolar duct. So, each terminal bronchiole gave rise to many thin vascularized alveoli. Every bronchiole is connected with a very thin vascularized alveoli. The ball-like structures you are seeing in the picture that are called as alveoli. So, the bronchioles opens into alveoli. In the atrial we can see the next one is larynx. The another name of larynx is sound box or the voice box. Is a cartilaginous box which helps in a sound production. So during swallowing, glottis is closed by the epiglottis. The glottis is closed by the epiglottis, a thin elastic cartilaginous flap to prevent the entry of food into the larynx. This epiglottis is a thin, it is a flap-like structure which prevent the entry of food into the atrial. So trachea, all bronchi and initial bronchioles are supported by incomplete cartilaginous half rings. So these trachea, this is a windpipe, you can see the trachea, the word there, it is covered by the cartilaginous rings, C-shaped cartilaginous rings. So what is a cartilage? Cartilage is nothing but it is a connective tissue which connects the organs. So it is not hard as like a bone or smooth like a muscle. So it is a hard but not a very hard as a bone. Okay. So it connects the organs. It connects the organs. So if there is very important for your exam, if there is no trachea, it doesn't give the support, the atrac will be collapsed. The trachea will be collapsed. Atrac or a trachea or a windpipe will be collapsed. So the trachea is covered by the cartilaginous rings. These cartilaginous rings provide the stiffness to the air pipe. So if there is no cartilaginous rings, when there is no passage of air, it loses its stiffness and it will be collapsed. So if it is collapsed, there is no process of respiration. The breathing becomes very difficult and the person ultimately may go for the death, lack of proper respiration, lack of. So the vocal cords plays a major role to speak out. So the vocal cords, the voice box contains the vocal cords. When the air is passed, it gives the beating. The vocal cords shows the beat and they produces the sound. So the vocal cords produces the sound. So they produce sound that we could able to speak out. Coming to the breathing mechanism, inspiration and expiration. Active intake of air from the atmosphere into the lungs. The process of actively intaking of air into the lungs, we call it as the inspiration, and exhalation means passive expelling of air from the lungs. The air which we release out from the lungs, we call it as the expiration. So let us see the inspiration. Diaphragm contracts. When we inspire, the diaphragm contracts and vertical volume, anterior posterior axis will be increases. So when it is increased, thoracic volume increase, the chest part. Thoracic means the chest part increases, thoracic pressure decreases, the pressure will be decreases. So the lungs expands and the pulmonary volume will be increased. So the interpulmonary pressure will be decreases and air moves from outside into the lungs. So external intercostal muscles also will be contracted and the ribs and sternum lift up and the volume inside the dorsal ventral axis increases. The both are the diaphragm contracts means the external intercostal muscles will be contracts. So ventricle volume or anterior posterior increases means ribs and the sternum lift up and the volume dorsoventral axis will be decreases. So this is these are the events which takes place during the process of inspiration or inhalation. And what happen when the inhalation? Intercostal muscles diaphragm will be relaxed. So thorax region original position, it comes into its original position, and thoracic volume also will be decreased. Pulmonary volume also will be decreased. Air moves easily out of the body or out of the lungs. So during the forceful expiration, abdominal muscles and internal intercostal muscles will be contracted. Forceful respiration means if you take a very heavy respiration, during that time abdominal muscles and also internal intercostal muscles also will be contracted. This the process of inhalation and exhalation results in the exchanging of gases. So the continuous process of inhalation and exhalation that shows during that period of a time contraction and relaxation of thoracic region or you can see the diaphragm region, they shows the contraction and relaxation. So these condition all together we call it as a mechanism of a breathing or a respiratory mechanism. So now let us see the respiratory volume capacities. What are the respiratory volumes and the capacity? What are the volumes are there? Tidal volume, we call it as a short form TV. Inspirational reserve volume, IRV, or complemental air, and expiratory reserve volume that we call as ERV or supplement air, and residual volume RV in the short form, and inspiratory capacity IC, expiratory capacity EC, functional residual capacity FRC, vital capacity VC, total lung capacity TLC. These are the short forms we call what are the volumes will be takes place in the respiratory mechanism. Now let us see tidal volume. What is a tidal volume? So volume of air inspired or expired during the normal respiration. The volume which is increase or a decrease, that condition we call it as a tidal volume. So it is about 500 ml, nearly 6000 to 800 ml per a minute. The volume is for a minute we can assess as 6000 to 800 ml per a minute. Next one is a inspiratory reserve volume, that is IRV or a complemental air. Additional volume of air that can inspire by the forceful inspiration. Additional volume of air that can inspire by forceful inspiration. So it is nearly 2500 to 3000 ml of air. Next one is expiratory reserve volume, ERV, or a supplemental air. Additional volume of air that can expire by a forceful expiration. The additional volume of air that can expire by the forceful expiration, and it is 100 to 11 ml, 1100 ml we can see. Next one is residual volume. Volume of air remaining in lungs after forcible expiration. After completion of expiration, the amount of air which is left over in the lungs, we call it as a residual volume. So it is nearly 1100 to 1200. The residual volume, the amount of air which is remains in the lungs, that is called as residual volume. It is generally from 1100 to 1200 ml. Next one is inspiratory capacity. The total volume of air inspired after normal expiration, that is IRV, and it is 300 to 3000 to 3500 ml. Inspiratory, total volume of air inspired after a normal expiration, the amount of air how much we inspire, that is nothing but 3000 to 3500 ml of air we used to inspire into the lungs. Now expiratory capacity, total volume of air expired after a normal inspiration. After inspiration, how much amount of air we release means it is nearly 1500 to 1600 ml. It is nearly 1500 to 1600 ml of air we can see. Now, functional residual capacity (FRC), volume of air remaining in the lungs after normal expiration. Volume of air after remaining in the lungs after normal respiration, it is the amount 2100 to 2300 amount of air will be remain in the lungs. That will be remains 2100 to 2300 amount of air will be remain. Now, vital capacity we see. Volume of air that can breathe in after forced expiration, or volume of air that can breathe out after forced inspiration. So, ERV plus TV plus IRV is equal to, it is the 3500 to 4500 ml. That is the vital capacity of the lungs. Now, total lung capacity. What is the total lung capacity? The total volume of air in the lungs after maximum inspiration, that means RV plus ERV plus TV plus IRV plus or VC plus RV is equal. That is a total amount which is taken by the lungs. What is the total capacity of a lungs? How much air it can take? Nearly 5000 to 6000 ml of air can be taken up by the lungs in a breathing process. So, respiratory volume capacities. Part of a respiratory tract that forms nostrils to terminal bronchi not involved in a gaseous exchange is called as dead space. So, the part where the not exchange of gases is not taking place, part of respiratory tract from nostrils to terminal bronchi not involved in a gaseous exchange. The part which is not involved in the gaseous exchange, that all the parts are called as dead space. So, dead air volume is about 150 ml. What is the dead air volume? It is nearly 150 ml. So, the respiratory cycle is equal to an inspiration plus an expiration. Complete respiratory cycle means one inspiration and one expiration. Normal respiratory breathing rate is 12 to 16 times per minute. 12 to 16 times we used to respire for a minute. Spirometer, respirometer to measure the respiratory rate. The spirometer used to measure the rate of respiration. It is an instrument which helps to measure that. That is a spirometer. In the process of respiration, how the gas enters, we find that. Now let us see gaseous exchange. How the gaseous exchange will take place in the lungs. So, the gaseous exchange takes place in the lungs. The lungs consist of unit parts, or the functional units are called as alveoli. You can see the bowl-like structure, one alveoli. No? Gas exchange occurs between alveoli and blood. Alveoli and blood and tissues. Okay. Alveoli are the primary sites of gaseous exchange. Alveoli are the primary sites to gaseous exchange. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged by the simple diffusion. By the process of diffusion, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide will be exchanges. So, gaseous exchange depends on the following facts: basing on the pressure, concentrating gradient and solubility of the gases, thickness of membrane and surface area of the respiratory membrane. Basing on this, that's why see, those who have the smoke, the surface area of the lungs will decrease. They'll suffer with the respiratory problems. So, the gaseous exchange always depends on the pressure. That means concentration of the gradient of the pressure around the air, and the solubility of the gases, and the thickness of the membrane, and the surface area of respiratory membrane. Basing all these conditions, the gaseous exchange will be plays the vital role. So, factors influencing exchanging the gases. The individual pressure of a gas in a gas mixture is called as a partial pressure. So, the individual pressure of a gas in a gas mixture, if you take one gas mixture, the individual pressure which is taken up, that we call it as a partial pressure. So, the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide, PO2 plus partial pressure of O2 and partial pressure of carbon dioxide are given below. You can see here now, once you can see the atmosphere Partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere 159, carbon dioxide is 0.3. In alveoli, the PO2 is 104 and CO2 is 40. Deoxygenated blood contain PO2 40 and CO2 is 45. Oxygenated blood contains PO2 is 95% and PCO2 is 40. And tissues contains 40% of oxygen and carbon dioxide also 45%. This is a gradient, how much pressure concentration of gradient air is consisting in each and every level of a organism. And now let us see pressure gradient. Pressure. PO2 in alveoli, pressure of oxygen gradient. In alveoli is more 104 mm hemoglobin than that the blood capillaries 40 mm Hg. So oxygen diffuse into capillary bloods. So what is the diffusion? Transfer of the molecules from high concentration to low concentration. So oxygen content is 104, whereas in blood capillaries the hemoglobin content is only 40. So from the alveoli the oxygen is travelling into the blood, and PCO2 in a deoxygenated blood is more than 45, so than that in alveoli 40 mm. So carbon dioxide diffuses to the alveoli. In the blood oxygen is reduced and alveoli oxygen content is more, and in the alveoli more oxygen, which means less carbon dioxide. In the blood more carbon dioxide. So the molecules will exchange by the process of diffusion, travel from the low concentration to high concentration. So solubility of gases. Solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25% times higher than that of oxygen. So the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuses through the diffusion membrane per unit differences in a partial pressure is much higher than the oxygen. So even solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen. So the amount of carbon dioxide can also diffuses through the diffusion membrane per a unit membrane. So in partial pressure it is a much higher than that of carbon dioxide. Now thickness of membrane. Diffusion membrane is made up of 3 layers, that is a squamous epithelium of alveoli, endothelium of alveoli like alveolar capillaries, and basement substances between them. So it is a total thickness is only 0.5 millimicrons, so enables the easy gas exchange. So it is a very less thickness, so that's what they can exchange the gases. You can see the layers: squamous epithelium, basement substance, and endothelium in the picture. You can see that is a single structure of the alveoli, how the gaseous exchange will takes place. If you see here, the surface area of human lung is equal to the tennis court. The lungs can expand nearly how the length of tennis court is taking place, that much length is having in the tennis court. So presence of alveoli increases the surface area of the lungs, it increases the gases exchange. So it helps to exchange the gases. So up to now how the gases are exchanged, how the process of respiration is taking place. So up to here we can see in this a video. Let us see the video how the gaseous air is transporting in the respiratory system. So now you can see here the process of respiratory system. So this is the process of human respiratory system. The parts you can observe: the rib cage, diaphragm. The lungs are protected in the rib cage. The diaphragm plays a major role in the process of respiration. So you can see here 2 lungs, that are right lung and left lung, right superior, right middle, right inferior parts, and left lung, it is having a two lobules, that is left superior and left inferior lobules. So this lung is divided right side, and the connecting part, the air tract is divided into bronchi, and the windpipe we call it as a trachea. The trachea is protected by the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. It is guarded by the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. And the pharynx, oropharynx and nasopharynx is there. Nasopharynx separates and helps to travel the air particles through the air tract. So the air passes through the nostrils and reaches to the air tract, and when it reaches to the bronchi divides into left bronchus and right bronchus. So now through the bronchioles the air is reaching to the alveolar sac. So throughout the bronchioles are divided into many branches. Every bronchiole, the terminal region of a bronchiole is consisting of unit structures are called as alveoli. You can see in the alveoli you can find the gaseous exchange. They have the porous-like structures. There, from the porous, the diffusion of oxygen and diffusion of carbon dioxide. So oxygen is present in the alveoli, is mixing with the hemoglobin. You can see RBC, and the carbon dioxide which is present in the RBC is diffusing into the alveoli. So you can see very clearly the gaseous exchange, how it is taking place in the process of respiration. See, carbon dioxide is diffusing into the alveoli. Now the alveoli receiving the carbon dioxide. The oxygen which is rich in the alveoli is getting into the hemoglobin, and this process is nothing but oxidation. And the diffused carbon dioxide again traveling to the bronchioles, and it reaches to the bronchi. It will reaches to the bronchi. From the bronchi again it coming back and releasing out the carbon dioxide through the nostrils. So this is the pathway of transportation of inhalation and exhalation. So this inhalation and exhalation is controlled by the diaphragm. So in the lungs you can see the branch-like structures. They are bulb-like structures. They are called as alveoli. So the contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm facilitate the better participation or better movement of a process of respiration. So this is why how the lungs expands and increase. We can see during the process of